Football is changing, and for the first time in decades, FIFA is preparing rules that could completely eliminate one of the most frustrating parts of the modern game, time wasting. And the 2026 World Cup could become the moment when everything finally changes, because for years, fans around the world have watched matches where the final minutes turned into a slow, frustrating battle against the clock instead of a battle for victory. Players kicking the ball away after fouls, goalkeepers holding the ball forever, defenders pretending to be injured, substitutes walking slowly across the entire pitch, and referees constantly trying to regain control of the tempo. But now, FIFA believes the sport has reached a point where these delays are damaging the entertainment value of football, especially in the biggest tournament on earth, the FIFA World Cup. And because the 2026 edition will already be historic, with matches played across North America in massive stadiums and watched by billions of fans, FIFA wants the games to feel faster, cleaner, and more dramatic than ever before, which is why a series of new rule changes are being introduced that directly target time wasting and controversial referee decisions. And some of these changes may seem small at first, but together they could completely transform the rhythm of football matches, starting with one of the biggest complaints in the modern game, the endless delays during restarts, because anyone who has watched football for long enough has seen it happen. A team scores a late goal or gains a narrow lead, and suddenly the entire strategy changes. Players begin falling down after the slightest contact, substitutes take forever to leave the field, defenders walk slowly to take throw-ins, and goalkeepers hold the ball as long as possible, while the crowd becomes more and more frustrated. And although referees usually add stoppage time, many fans feel that the real momentum of the match has already been destroyed. And FIFA wants to eliminate this problem by introducing strict countdown limits for certain situations, which means players will no longer have the freedom to delay the game whenever they want. Under the new system, referees can enforce a very short time limit for throw-ins and goal kicks, and if a player refuses to restart play quickly enough, the ball can be given to the opposing team, which instantly removes the advantage of wasting time. Imagine a tense World Cup match in the final minutes where a defender picks up the ball for a throw-in, but instead of slowly walking up the line and pretending to search for a teammate, he now knows the referee is counting down, and if he waits too long, the other team could receive possession instantly. This changes the psychology of the moment, because delaying the game is no longer a safe tactic, it becomes a risk, and that single rule alone could dramatically speed up the flow of matches. But FIFA did not stop there, because another huge problem in modern football is the way substituted players leave the field. Everyone has seen the classic scene. A team protecting a lead makes a substitution in the final minutes, and the player being replaced slowly walks across the entire pitch, shaking hands with teammates, waving to the crowd, sometimes even stopping to remove shin guards or talk to the referee while precious seconds disappear. And although referees try to hurry them along, the process still wastes valuable time. But in the new World Cup system, players will be required to leave the pitch immediately and within a strict time window. And if they deliberately delay their exit, their team could be punished by forcing the substitute to wait before entering the game, which creates a powerful incentive to leave quickly, because no manager wants to temporarily play with fewer players during a critical moment. This rule may seem simple, but it directly attacks one of the most common time-wasting tactics used in high-pressure matches, and it shows that FIFA is serious about protecting the integrity of the game, especially during the most dramatic moments of the tournament. However, the fight against delays does not end with substitutions, because another controversial situation happens when players go down injured and stop the match. Now, of course, injuries are a real part of football, and player safety must always come first. But fans also know that sometimes players exaggerate contact or remain on the ground longer than necessary in order to slow the pace of the game and disrupt the opponent's momentum. And this has been one of the most difficult issues for referees to judge, because they cannot simply ignore a player who might actually be hurt. But the new rule being considered for international competitions, including the 2026 World Cup, introduces an interesting solution. If a player receives treatment that stops the game, the player must temporarily leave the field after play restarts for a short period of time, which means a team that tries to fake an injury will actually be forced to play with one fewer player for a moment, and that changes everything, because suddenly staying on the ground is no longer automatically beneficial. It can create a disadvantage, and coaches will have to think carefully before allowing their players to exaggerate minor contact. This system has already been tested in some competitions, and the early results suggest it could significantly reduce fake injuries and speed up the rhythm of matches, especially during intense knockout games where every second matters. But the changes coming to the 2026 World Cup are not only about time wasting, they also involve technology and the continuing evolution of VAR, the video assistant referee system that has already changed football forever. When it was introduced, many fans believed VAR would eliminate major mistakes and make the sport fairer, but over the years, the system has also generated controversy because some decisions still slip through the cracks and certain situations remain outside the scope of review. However, FIFA and the International Football Association Board have been exploring ways to improve the technology and expand its authority, and by the time the 2026 World Cup arrives, VAR could have more power than ever before. One of the key discussions involves allowing VAR to intervene in situations that previously could not be corrected, such as mistaken identity when a referee gives a card to the wrong player, or controversial second yellow card incidents that change the entire match, because a second yellow card automatically leads to a red card and expulsion from the game. And in the past, if the referee made a mistake, there was often no way to correct it, even after video evidence clearly showed the wrong decision. But with expanded VAR authority, these moments could be reviewed quickly, ensuring that a team does not lose a player unfairly during the biggest tournament in football history. And this possibility has sparked intense debate among fans and analysts, because while some people welcome more accurate decisions, others worry that increasing VAR involvement could slow the game down or reduce the authority of referees on the pitch. And yet, FIFA believes the key is balance, using technology to correct clear mistakes while still preserving the natural flow of the match, which is exactly why the anti-time wasting rules and the VAR improvements are being introduced together. One speeds up the game, while the other protects fairness and accuracy. And if both systems work correctly, the 2026 World Cup could deliver faster, more dramatic, and fewer controversies with match mistakes. But perhaps the most fascinating innovation being explored for the tournament involves the referees themselves, because for the first time in World Cup history, officials may wear small body cameras during matches. And although these cameras would primarily be used for broadcast and transparency, they could also change the relationship between referees, players, and fans, because knowing that every interaction might be recorded could encourage better behavior on the field and reduce aggressive protests against decisions. At the same time, broadcasters could use the footage to create incredible new angles for television coverage, giving audiences a truly immersive view of the match and bringing them closer to the action than ever before.